This is Honest Eve, and today I want to talk about something a lot of men are living through but almost never say out loud. The slow, quiet moment when your wife stops feeling like your wife and starts feeling like just another person you happen to share a house with. Not a villain, not a stranger on the street, just a roommate. You split bills, you manage chores, you raise kids, you share a Netflix account, but that feeling of, this is my person, this is the woman I'm building a life with, is gone. If you're a man listening to this and you felt that sentence in your chest, stay with me. Because here's the part almost no one admits. You don't become roommates because of one big disaster. You don't go from, I can't wait to get home to her, to, I'd rather stay an extra hour at work in a single day. It happens slowly, through small, repeated choices. Little shifts in how she talks to you, or changes in how she touches you, or doesn't. The way she reacts when you try to connect. The way she handles conflict, stress, and her own emotions around you. Over time, those choices don't just change the mood in the house. They change who you are to each other. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 very specific things many wives do, often without even noticing, that quietly turn their husband into just a roommate. Before we talk about what wives do, we have to be clear on what actually changes for a man when he slips into roommate mode. When he married you, he did not walk down that aisle dreaming of spreadsheet conversations and chore negotiations. He pictured laughter in the kitchen. He pictured being wanted in the bedroom. He pictured a partner who was on his side when the world wasn't. Husband and wife is supposed to mean we share a life, not just a lease. We protect each other's hearts, not just each other's schedules. We choose each other, even when no one is watching. A roommate is different. A roommate is someone you coordinate with. Whose turn is it to take out the trash? Did you transfer your half of the rent? Can you pay the Wi-Fi this month? You might be polite. You might even like each other, but you are not each other's emotional home. You are each other's logistical partner. When a husband starts to feel like a roommate, here's what that looks like from the inside. He stops reaching for her first when something good or bad happens. He starts keeping more of his thoughts to himself. He starts dreading certain conversations because he already knows how they'll go. He spends more time in his own head, his own hobbies, his own corner of the house. He's still there physically. He still does school runs, fixes things, pays bills, helps with the kids. From the outside, it can even look like a functioning marriage. But the part of him that once said, "This is my woman, these are my people, this is my place," gets quieter and quieter. Roommate mode is not about him no longer caring if the house runs. It's about him no longer caring if the marriage feels alive. And most wives don't see the change until it's very far along. So let's talk about how he gets there. Here are 5 things wives do, often without realizing, that slowly turn their husband into just a roommate. In the beginning, conversations were about everything. He could tell her about work, about his fears, about the stupid thing that made him laugh that day. She would share her thoughts, her dreams, her frustrations. There was curiosity and warmth on both sides. Over time, in a lot of marriages, the tone of conversation shifts. It becomes almost entirely about business. Schedules, chores, bills, kids' activities, groceries, repairs. What time are you picking them up? Did you pay the electricity? My family's coming next weekend. Make sure you're home. We need to talk about the budget. Whenever he tries to talk about something deeper, how burnt out he feels at work, the pressure he's under, an idea he's excited about, even a fear about the future, the response he gets is some version of disinterest, a distracted while she scrolls her phone. Redirection. We'll talk later. Right now we need to focus on X. Competition. Turning his stress into a contest about how stressed she is. After a few rounds of this, he realizes the only conversations that seem welcome are about tasks. So he adapts. He stops sharing his inner world and sticks to updates. Instead of, I feel like I'm failing at work, it becomes, I'll be home late. Instead of, I'm worried about money, it becomes, we should probably cut a few expenses. Instead of, I'm feeling really alone, it becomes silence. She may not even notice the shift because the house still runs. They still talk every day. The calendar is full, the kids are busy, but something fundamental has changed. He is no longer her partner in the emotional sense. He is her project manager. Roommates talk about dishes and deadlines and rent. Partners talk about what's really happening in their hearts. When business conversations completely replace heart conversations, the relationship doesn't explode. It just flattens. Day after day, she unintentionally teaches him, your inner world is not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in what you can do. That is the first step from husband to helpful roommate. Most men are not asking for movie scenes or constant fireworks, but they do need one thing to stay in love: to feel wanted by the woman they chose. At the start, there are usually small touches everywhere. A kiss in the kitchen, a hug from behind, legs overlapping on the couch, falling asleep holding hands. Those little moments quietly tell him, you're mine. I choose you. In many marriages, those touches become rare, and then conditional, and then almost non-existent. It often starts small. She pulls away when he leans in for a kiss because she's busy. She brushes his hand off in bed with, I'm tired. She stops ever initiating touch herself. He's always the one reaching. He's always the one being told yes or no. Eventually, even when sex happens, it starts to feel like a negotiation or a duty. Instead of a shared desire, she uses intimacy as a bargaining chip. Why should I? You haven't done X. She agrees, but with body language that screams, let's just get this over with. She lets weeks or months go by without touching him at all, then acts surprised he feels rejected. From her side, she might frame this as, I'm just tired. My libido is different. Real life isn't like dating. From his side, it feels like this. Every time I reach out, I'm asking to be rejected, judged, or negotiated with. So he adapts. He stops reaching. He stops risking the humiliation of hearing no again. He may still love her, but he no longer experiences himself as her lover. He feels like someone she allows into his space only on her terms. And let's be honest, roommates might share a bathroom, but they are not choosing each other with their bodies. You can sleep 6 inches away from someone for years and still feel completely alone if the message you get is, I'm not interested in you, I tolerate you. For a man, repeated rejection in the bedroom doesn't just hurt his ego, it rewrites his identity in the relationship, from desired husband to unwanted roommate. The third way many wives slowly turn their husband into a roommate is by changing their tone. They stop talking with him and start talking down to him. Tone is everything. Most men can handle disagreement. They can handle being told they're wrong. They can even handle anger. What destroys their desire to stay emotionally close is contempt. It sounds like, why would you do it like that? What is wrong with you? Do you ever think things through? Just move, I'll do it myself. It shows up as eye-rolling, heavy sighs, mocking, sarcasm, and constantly highlighting his flaws in front of other people. What she might call joking or being honest lands for him as, you're stupid, you're useless, you're in my way. Imagine going to work every day and having a boss who talks to you like that in every meeting. Eventually, you'd stop sharing ideas. You'd stop volunteering. You'd do the bare minimum and go home. That's exactly what happens to a lot of husbands in their own house. At first, he argues back. Then he tries to prove himself. Then, when nothing changes, he stops fighting. He goes quiet. Not because he doesn't care, because he has realized that nothing he says or does will ever be enough to earn basic respect. Women underestimate how deeply respect is tied to love for a man. When a wife's default tone becomes contempt, correction, or mothering him, his heart does something she rarely sees. It steps back. He still might do the tasks, but he's no longer doing them as a man who feels admired by the woman he loves. He's doing them as someone trying not to get scolded by an unhappy roommate. Once a man feels like he is only tolerated and managed, not respected, he will never feel fully at home in his own house. The fourth way wives quietly turn their husband into just a roommate is by where they consistently place him on their priority list. Most women, if asked directly, would say, "My husband is important to me." But if you watch who actually gets her best energy, her best attention, and her most patient listening, it's often the kids, her friends, her phone, her job, her social media audience, her extended family. The children ask for something, she stops what she's doing and leans in. A friend texts, she happily gets lost in conversation. Work calls, she pushes through tiredness and gives her all. Her parents or siblings need something, she rearranges her day. Her husband wants to talk? "Not now, I'm exhausted. Can we not start this tonight? Can we talk about this later? I have too much on my mind." Over time, he becomes the person who always gets her leftovers. Leftover energy, leftover patience, leftover kindness. So he adapts. He stops asking for prime space in his life. He fills his time with other things: work, hobbies, screens, silence. He creates a life around her instead of with her, because trying to be close to her only reminds him that he's behind everything else. From her perspective, she might complain, "He doesn't open up. He spends all his time on his phone. He's always in the garage. He never plans anything for us." But what she's seeing is not the problem. It's the adaptation. He stopped applying for a position he kept being rejected from. He stopped fighting for a seat in a chair that was always occupied by something else. Eventually, two lives that once revolved around each other become two separate orbits that occasionally intersect in the kitchen. That's not marriage. That's roommates with shared responsibilities. The fifth and final pattern is one of the most destructive: conflicts that never actually end. Every couple argues, but in many marriages, arguments don't lead to resolution. They lead to pause. Here's how it plays out. He brings up a concern. She feels attacked and reacts emotionally. Voices rise. Old issues are dragged in. Someone storms out, or they go to sleep angry, or they just get too exhausted to continue. The next morning, life goes on, as if nothing happened. No real ownership, no real apology, no clear agreement on what will change, until the next argument. Then, everything from the last 5 fights gets thrown into this one. She remembers every detail he got wrong. He remembers every time she twisted his words. Conflict becomes less about solving a problem and more about winning a scorecard. To protect himself, he starts to avoid bringing problems up at all. Say, "You're right, I'm wrong," just to end it. Shut down emotionally whenever he senses a fight starting. What she experiences as "he's emotionally unavailable" is often just him protecting himself from a pattern where truth only leads to punishment. The real damage isn't just the arguments. It's the pile of unresolved moments sitting between them. Each one becomes a brick. After enough bricks, there is a wall. They might still kiss occasionally. They might still sit on the same couch. They might still smile in photos. But behind that wall, they are no longer. One or two of these things, once in a while, rarely destroy a marriage. Life is stressful. People get tired. No one gets it right all the time. But when you put them together, constant busyness instead of connection, affection turned into rejection, contempt instead of respect, being last on the list, and conflict that never truly ends, you get a very predictable result. A man who is physically present, financially responsible, and emotionally gone. He goes from, "I can't wait to tell her about my day," to, "Why bother? She won't really listen." From, "I want to hold her," to, "I'm tired of being turned away." From, "She's my partner," to, "She's another person I live with who expects things from me." By the time he finally says, "I'm done," it rarely means his feelings disappeared last week. It means they have been bleeding out for years, one small cut at a time. If you're a man hearing this and recognizing your own life, understand this. You are not weak or broken because your love has faded under these conditions. Any human heart, repeatedly criticized, neglected, rejected, and deprioritized, will eventually shut down. You are allowed to name the reality you're living in. You are allowed to say, "I don't want to live as just a roommate in my own marriage." You are allowed to protect your peace. If you're a wife listening and something in this stung, that doesn't automatically make you evil, but it does give you a choice. You can defend yourself, list every way he has failed, and tell yourself this is all his fault. Or you can ask with brutal honesty, "Have I been treating my husband like a partner or like a useful roommate I assume will always be there?" If you truly don't want to lose him emotionally, long before any legal divorce papers ever get signed, start where you actually have power. Bring back conversations that aren't just about tasks. Offer touch that says, "I still choose you," not "fine if you insist." Watch your tone and give him the respect you'd give any man you admired. Put your phone down and be fully present, on purpose. And when conflict happens, finish it with ownership, apology, and change. None of this guarantees a perfect marriage, but ignoring it almost guarantees a dead one. This is Honest Eve. Men, if this describes your life, write "That's me" in the comments and share as much of your story as you're ready to tell. You'll see very quickly that you are not alone. Women, if this felt uncomfortably accurate, sit with that feeling before you try to explain it away. You might be closer to having a roommate than a husband, and this may be your chance to change that. If you want more conversations about the side of relationships almost no one talks about, subscribe and stay. I'll be back with more of what everyone feels, but almost no one is willing to say.